Hey, there's 100 million guys like me in the US and Canada. We all have the same kind of background. But if I go to the Congo or Nigeria or Central African Republic, I'm unique.
Running Rwanda, that's the country they talk about in Africa. What are your thoughts on him or others in the region?
Well, I don't know what to think about Rwanda because, as we know, it was 20 some years ago when these people killed 500,000, 1 million, who knows, people with machetes. So are the underlying causes of that disaster still lurking under the surface? I suspect they are, but I've come to hate travel because it's gotten much, much worse with this COVID hysteria, but it really got bad with the war on terror. I mean, it used to be that, if you could run to the airport and get on the plane before they pulled up the jetway, you were cool. Now you got to be there 2 hours before. Your papers have to be in order. So
even in the 90s, you just walk anywhere you want. In the airport, you just go hang out for the day.
Yeah.
Now it's dreadful.
And I'm afraid it's going to get worse because the elite in the world, the people that are represented by, well, things like that idiot in Davos, Klaus Schwab. I mean, I can understand. They don't want the hoi polloi cluttering up St. Mark's Square in Venice and, being bumper to bumper in Machu Picchu. Let these plebs stay in their little villages and live like serfs. So I think the people that rule the world would really like to clamp down.
And you probably experienced this. How many times do you go to, I remember Moldova, as I'm slipping and sliding, you can't get dropped off at the hotel. You're walking 2 blocks because there's that agriculture convention, and all the agriculture ministers have come there, and they need I'm sure more people know you and I, even in Moldova, maybe, than know these guys from Tajikistan, the agriculture minister, but they're also self-important.
They're very self-important because they're high government officials, which to me means that they're among the most unworthy and worthless people in the world. But they like being big shots, and they like lording it over the serfs.
You said Janet Yellen wasn't fit to work at a deli.
That's true, and she's not. She's got no understanding of economics at all. She's an embarrassment. But hopefully the economy collapses. I think it will while she's in office. And she'll be blamed for it. Much of it will be justifiable. But I'm not looking forward to the collapse of the US and therefore the world economy. And the reason for that is that when things get bad and people start losing their houses and kicked out of their apartments, once the, what do they call this, where they don't have to pay their rent and mortgages?
The moratoriums.
Yeah, on payments. When that comes to an end, they're going to owe back mortgage payments. That's a debt that's not going to go away. And you're actually going to owe back rent to the landlord who needs it.
A lot of people are going to be shocked.
They're going to be shocked. They're getting this big bill. Most of them have pissed away their stimmy money. And they're going to be out on the street living under bridges. The government won't let that happen. No. So the government will have to print trillions more to bail them out. But here's the problem with the Greater Depression. It's that as highly politicized as the world is right now, they're going to want a savior. They're going to want somebody who's going to come and say, let's punish the people that made this happen. Undoubtedly, he'll be one of them. But let's punish them, and I will straighten things out. And it's the same argument that Mussolini made, same argument that Hitler made. And it works.
To me, the problem in the West in particular, though, is, people think Jeff Bezos made this happen. or Elon Musk made this happen. I mean, they happened to be in the right place at the right time to profit more than usual. But that, to me, is the problem. People think that.
Yeah, I mean, I'm all for captains of industry that create real wealth. I mean, it's shameful that during the greatest era of growth in the U.S., people like Carnegie and Rockefeller and Vanderbilt and Astor, you know, they're called malefactors of great wealth and robber barons. I mean, this is criminally stupid. I mean, these guys created industries generally in those days without any government help. I mean, of course, they're always happy to get help from the government. Yes, of course. But they actually created something. And Bezos, I mean, I'm sure he's been corrupted by the fact that a major source of income for him with his computer is the government and so forth. And, you know, Musk, who of these people I have the most respect for, I think. You know, he gets lots of help from the government. So it's corrupting. The government should have zero involvement in the economy, zero. But, you know, instead of that, people look at it as being a cornucopia. So
you mentioned where is there to go? Your thoughts on Europe? Is the EU sustainable?
No, it's absolutely going to fall apart. And that's a very good thing. But it goes further than that, because not only is the EU going to fall apart, but just as Yugoslavia broke up into 6 republics, Soviet Union broke up into 15, I think what you're going to see is Italy break up into, I don't know how many.
The balkanization of the rest of Europe, Western Europe.
I think so. People forget that it was only like 1871 when Germany came together from scores of principalities and dukedoms and kingdoms. And Italy, when was Garibaldi? I guess that was the 1850s. When Italy became that's going to break up to Spain, the Catalans,
Catalonia,
the Basques.
And finally break away, yeah.
Yes, and it'll be a good thing. And, you know.
They have all the wealth.
Well, actually, yeah, that's right. That's right, they do. Much more productive than the rest of Spain generally. And then, of course, England, Scotland should break off. Maybe Wales too. I mean, this is.
Do you think the same thing happens in the U.S.?
Yes, I do. In fact, it's worse in the U.S. because we're likely to have an actual civil war. And not like what happened, the unpleasantness of 1861 to 65. That wasn't a civil war, incidentally. That's a total misnomer. It was a war of secession. And a civil war is one where 2 or more groups are contesting for the control of one government in one land area. That's a civil war. A war of secession is just where one group wants to separate from another group. So the Civil War in the U.S. wasn't about slavery. It was really about economics, but that's a whole different story. But yes, I think we're heading towards a real civil war this time, because these people in red counties and blue, they hate each other. They can't talk, cannot communicate. They think each other's evil, and it won't end well.
From an internationalization standpoint, would you want to be a citizen of a Western European country?
Well, if I was a citizen of it, I wouldn't want to live there, because you're much freer, as you know, living outside of the country who issues your slave card to you.
Do you think at some time Italy or Germany or Belgium says, you know, we're going to do what the U.S. is doing. We're going to start taxing people. You have to pay something.
I think that's on the way. All these organizations like the IMF and the OECD and the UN, they're all the same, and they're all going for tax harmonization, they call it. So yeah, although the U.S. is now the only major country that you can't get the monkey off your back, I think they're all going to go that way until they fall apart.
And so what would you do if you were in that situation?
Well, you get the best passport you can because you unfortunately need your papers in order to do anything. So in the meantime, don't live in the country that taxes you. You can still do that if you're a European. So that's the first step.
It seems to me that there's this great fascination. One of the things I'm trying to talk about here is if you can get rid of 5 or 10 countries from your life, the U.S. and Canada and Australia, New Zealand, you can live a pretty free life, whether it's Argentina, Uruguay, wherever else. That's a hard thing for a lot of Westerners to do, is to say, I need that European citizenship so I can go to Canada, for example. And it seems like those are all the countries that are falling apart.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. But there's no solution for this, because it's a psychological problem with human beings, a spiritual problem almost, where they like to boss other humans around with, and they're looking for a daddy figure called the state that will keep them safe, and it's all a chimera, it's all a lie. But this is one of the good things that you're doing with this organization that you started, Andrew.
Well, I appreciate it. Last question is, if you were starting all over again, what would be your plan? Where would you want to live? Where would you want to be speculating?
Well, where would I go now, today, if I was 20 or something again? It starts with education, and I misallocated 4 years of my time and a bunch of money going to a university. And today, universities are much more corrupt and leftist. They're totally run by Marxists. It's horrible. And I speak as somebody that was a trustee of the 10th oldest college in the country, so I actually got into it. And it wasn't nearly as bad then as it is now. I would unschool myself. My next project, after I'm writing these novels, 3 of them are out: Speculator, Drug Lord, Assassin, tracing the pilgrim's progress of my hero, Charles Knight. There's 4 more novels to come. But along with those novels, I think the next one I'm going to do may be entitled The Renaissance Man, which is going to be a guidebook to educating yourself. What should you do during high school, and especially during college, and for those, let's say, 4 or 5 years after you're out of college, so that how do you qualify yourself? What should you do? Where should you go to learn everything you need to go out and conquer your own world? Okay, that's kind of a preface to answering your question. Where would I go today? I would definitely go to Africa, because, like I said before, I think I said it before, I want to go someplace where it's an on-level playing field. I want to go someplace where my skills and education and background and capital, hey, there's 100 million guys like me in the US and Canada. We all have the same kind of background. But if I go to the Congo or Nigeria or Central African Republic, I'm unique. I can bring things to their party that are needed and wanted, and automatically, get clocked into the top.
So rather than going and working on an offshore oil rig or working in Nome, Alaska, as some of these guys do to make money, you'd say, I'm going to go somewhere that's maybe not so pleasant to live in, but I'm going to start a great career and make a lot of money.
Especially as a young guy, because there's an infinite desire for goods and services on the part of every human being on this planet. Everybody wants to have a nice house, a nice car, so forth. So, you can't do that for them, but you can go to these places and you can figure out, what can I bring to these people through my, what everybody has in the West, but they don't bring it here. So that's what I would do if I was a young guy today. Qualify myself. You just can't be, a guy that goes there and hangs around, can't bring anything to the party. But after you qualify yourself, which you should do by the time you're in your early 20s, that's where you want to go. That's the part of the world you want to go, in my opinion.
Africa's the place to live if you're just starting out. Not forever, maybe?
No, I don't see it as a good place to live particularly, no.
Go there, do business, get out.
That's the way I see it, because it's very unstable, and I think it's going to become more unstable. And let's admit it, when it comes to convenience, the U.S. and Canada and the EU are very convenient. I mean, you get everything you want.
Dubai, Singapore.
Right, exactly. But like I said, I want to go where I'm in an on-level playing field that's tilted in my direction. Everybody can benefit that way. So that's what I would do.
Good advice. Unlevel playing field.
Key word.
Doug Casey, great to have you.
Thank you, Andrew.
So people ask, Andrew, how do I get the most out of Nomad Capitalist? How do I begin my Nomad Capitalist journey? The first thing people do is they start right where you're at. They watch YouTube, they listen to podcasts, they read articles at nomadcapitalist.com. We've spent years creating thousands of pieces of free content so that you can get the vibe from someone who's actually done this, from someone who's actually been in your shoes. What they'll do next, they'll get a copy of the book. You can find it on Amazon. It costs a few bucks, and while it's not going to give you all the secrets, it's going to, again, give you more of the vibe. You're going to learn a lot of the things that I've learned. You're going to learn some strategies you can employ, and you're going to get a lot further in your journey. From there, if you are the 7 or 8 figure entrepreneur investor, you can go to nomadcapitalist.com. You can click Become a Client. We're pretty busy these days, but we have availability to help a limited number of people who want to create a holistic plan, something that I think is so important. So if you want to do that, go to nomadcapitalist.com, click Become a Client, learn more about how it works and how we can help you.